Hi, how you doing? I'm Jimmie Cervera. I played Dr. Robert in the Beatles' Love Show by Cirque du Soleil. I've been Dr. Robert for 12, 13 years before it became to a sudden halt where I was really beige, clean shaven, had to put the makeup on, get pulled a little bit. Now I have my COVID beard, but that's pretty much what I was doing before COVID hit. And because of I still have a little bit of strength because of Dr. Robert pushing me forward, or at least I'm falling forward, not backwards, trying to be positive. I'm just hoping to get back to everything, not to normal, but to a better normal as far as entertainment. So my fingers are crossed to at least to do Dr. Robert a few more times. I don't think we shouldn't go out like that as far as entertainment. That's the one thing that I think was kind of depressing me in the beginning of all this madness was because how it ended. I didn't have a chance to say goodbye, or I still have stuff in my dressing room in my locker, and it was so abrupt that it just kind of just breaks my heart a little bit. Especially at first, that feeling. It's cool. All right, I got some. Oh wow, I'm getting healed up. This doesn't hurt. My neck doesn't hurt. Anything, I can. Now this is easy. But now there's something that I kind of miss the tiredness and a little bit of the pain and the work camaraderie that you have with your fellow mates backstage, and those are something that you take for granted while you're in the show. Then when it's taken away, you're like, oh, that's food for the soul. Doing that stuff. It's not just being on stage; it's backstage and the dressing room, they become like your brothers because you're around them for so long. So I mean, that's why I'm posting every once in a while a Beatles thing, because I miss it so much, and it's kind of like a little bit of release of tension that I've held for so long of how we ended. I'm hoping just so we can at least get some semblance to go back on stage with my fellow mates to say goodbye or something if nothing goes right. If it does, I hope all the people come back. Hopefully I can give them air hugs or real hugs. Hopefully things will be all right.
Or give them some of that tea like that.
Oh yeah, it's better than Clorox, that's for sure. That tea's gonna heal you. Actually, that tea's the only thing that's got me 12 years being on stage.
Tell me about your interest in live entertainment and performing in whatever the hell it was that motivated you to follow this path.
It started as a young boy because you couldn't control me. I had some learning disabilities. All the whole thing, ADD, ADHD, all that kind of stuff that happens. And the only thing that my parents found that was that was I had focus, saw that I had focus was dance. So they threw me into breakdancing and popping. So that's where I learned how to break dance. So I was doing that for a while, but I had no idea what the art scene was about. The cool thing about being a male, they always need you in something, in some form of dance or what have you. Um, so from there on, I went into Disneyland at 16. So that was my first introduction of what live entertainment was. Oh, I remember seeing Disney shows actually when I was a kid, saying, "Wow, that's awesome! I would love to do that." I couldn't believe people got paid to do what they were doing on stage, and I felt that was the only thing that I could do to be successful, was to be in entertainment. I grew up in Southern California, from LA to Orange County. I would say junior high to high school, and we moved to Garden Grove, which was really close to Disney. So it was easy for us to go there all the time. And at the time, it was really cheap when I was young. That's how long ago it was. It was $20 to get in.
Wait, there was a time when you could get into
We had
Disneyland for
tickets
20 bucks?
in the very beginning when I was a kid. We had to give tickets for rides, like the e-tickets for the best ones, like Space Mountain and all kind of stuff. So I remember when we had to get tickets. I don't want to date myself too much. The grays are showing. It's not even gray anymore. They're white, but these shows were, from all the way from like parades, all the stage shows that I remember watching. The Christmas show was one of the best shows. It was Mickey's Nutcracker, and I saw that, and I just saw male dancers. I'm like, man, they're so athletic and amazing. How can I get involved? I was doing a lot of sports, but they weren't holding my attention that I would like to have to be a sports person. I went into drama in high school. Then I got hired at Disney at 16. I started doing goofy. I was goofy, like in the park, signing autographs. That was my first thing for entertainment. Grunting it out, just sweat everywhere. I had looking down because the faces here, learning all the techniques of like basically mime. So that was like on the job training for stuff like that, which showed me ways of going to classes. So I started going to mime school, then dropped out. Then I went to start taking, it was something I would take something and drop out and try something else. But it all kind of at the end coordinated to what you see now, of learning just a little bit of everything. That helped me out with Disney. And I've worked from Disney from since I was 16 to going to Cirque du Soleil, I think around I think I was close to 30 years old. I found out where to take dance classes and acting classes by going to Disney, by talking to people that's been in the trade forever. So I was able to get in their ear and ask what's going on. I was always bugging, where do you take classes? How do I do this? How to do that? And they always gave me the right information. I went to the right dance classes, the right teachers for acting, the right mime teachers, so they kind of molded me, and I was into musical theater on top of that. So it was a huge musical theater based training that I got at Disney, which helped me take classes beyond Disney while at Disney. I got such a good rapport with them, and I love them to death because I wouldn't be here for them. I had a chance to go away and do other gigs. Like I did Swing the Musical. I got to do a year and a half tour of that, which was awesome. I got to do a salsa show like in Japan. I got to go little different places, but I was able to come back and they liked me. So depending on the show, I would audition and they're like, oh, we have a spot for you or whatever. Just because of what, hopefully because of the hard work that I did, and they gave me a chance. I started from character department to parade and to the professional AGVA shows through Disney, and learning through all the way from the bottom, from being Goofy, which is not bad. I love being Goofy. It's actually helped me in a lot of the green screen work that I've done as Goofy. And the cool thing about Disney, I was so many different weird characters for them. There was a point where I did a show where I would go as Aladdin, right? It was the 40th anniversary show. It was the first thing where I was like, oh, I get to show my face. So, but it was like, I thought it was all cool. Then I had to go run backstage and change into a Goofy character or a Pluto character and do the finale. I learned to be humble, learned how to hard work, a lot of sweat, as you see, if you worked with me before. So that's how I first opened up the sweat glands, was being in the character. Get it all out, right?
You're one of the most profound sweaters. But any of you who are watching this right now or listening to this, if you've seen the Beatles live and if you've seen Jimmy play Dr. Robert, and this guy works his butt off every freaking show. That's why I have a huge respect for you.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm so happy where we get to hang out in that one little spot during the show backstage. So that's where a lot of friendships really, really get bonded, just by little 5-minute spots that you hang out until you have to go out, and it's such a pleasure to lead you out with the teapot, glowing teapot, and with all the mist and the smoke, and it just know what's about to happen after I leave. It got to a point where I was doing a lot of shows as Goofy or Genie, or commercials, like those live specials you see Goofy dancing in front of the castle. I've done that a lot. I'm thinking 1990. It's in the 1900s though. It's in the 1900s.
Okay, 1900s. Okay, so that's good to know. So it's so last century.
No, I think so true though. So 96 to 98 in front of the castle. I was Goofy and Pluto for the front of the castle stuff. I know I was a tall Pluto, but for some reason they needed someone. A long reason because I could dance in the costume, so that helped me a lot. Actually, that got me a lot of work just because I knew how to dance in a costume and know the extremities and how to make it look like it's looking. Even though I'm looking out of the mouth, so you look down where the eyes will look straight, that kind of stuff.
So you mentioned, break dancing. I mean, different styles.
Yeah.
But was there any specific style that really got you like into this disciplinary mode that you're?
Oh yeah, I had a ballet teacher. Talk about discipline. The ballet teacher was on me all the time. I knew I had to have structure as well. Even though I learned some technique, but I really had to hone my skills as far as like presenting yourself. I just felt it would help me in character work anyways to take ballet. It's such a good basis, but it also helped me to be more disciplined in all my arts. Like my dance teacher said, you'll never be a good ballet dancer, but you'll be a good dancer because of ballet.
She did not lie.
No.
She did
And
not lie.
straight face, no, like told me that how it was. And that's what I needed at the time. I was a young teenager, so I needed that kind of discipline. And I got classes for free. They opened up the dance studio. I can come in just because home life was a little difficult. So I had another home, and it was the Colony Dance Studio. That's what the name of the place. And would open up the classes for me if they're empty. You can just go in and practice, because I didn't want to be home. So I would go there for hours and just practice and practice and practice because I was so far behind. I was literally taking classes with like 7 and 8 year olds that were kicking my ass in ballet, but I didn't give up. I was like, I don't care that they're better than me. And they were so encouraging and helped me. Like, it was amazing. 2 guys in the class that got to take for free, but it was more like a scholarship. So we had to like make sure the place was fine and everything, and do shows for them and come in and help when they needed help. So I was really happy to have that release working at Disney and dance, taking ballet, which led me to other classes, which led me to going to Orange Coast College and learning what a dance company was about, which led to me to going to classes in LA and which to dance classes at the Edge Dance Studio. That was my first experience of like, oh crap, people know how to do everything here. So it kind of woke me up, and I used to go to Joe Tremaine's, which is another dance studio, the Edge, and Millennium. And granted, I wasn't there. I was always in the back because that's how many people that were so good. So I just have to just kind of, I would always put myself next to someone that one of the best dancers and just try to mimic what he did. Or she did. That was the only way I can get better. You know, you think you're not making progress, but then you're going to an audition, then you start getting stuff and you're like, oh, okay, this is actually working. I'm not gonna lie, my biggest influences in my whole life, believe it or not, were women and gay men. They're the ones that believed in me the most and gave me the most opportunity. And so that's why I'm always grateful, always on the side, and always an ally. I think I've told you the story before. Sylvia Haas, she's Austrian, beautiful lady. She's the one that gave me the contact for Cirque du Soleil to get me a solo audition for Ka. I was doing the Latin show at the time at the Hyperion Theater. She's helped me out through my whole Disney career. She gave me my first show when I was young. She hired me as the first dance show that I've done as Goofy, 16, 17 at the time. And ever since then, she saw me progress and she just kept adding stuff to me to do. She saw me I did a couple shows for her, some special events. She's been awesome. And then next thing you know, I get a phone call about wanting to audition for Cirque. And then she calls me and says, yes, I mentioned your name. They need someone that can do puppets, that's athletic enough to learn some of the skills at Ka. So I got the phone call and I was excited. I flew out from LA to Las Vegas. I didn't know what to expect. I came into Ka. It was one of the hardest auditions I ever did in my life. It was like 8 hours. It was just me. I was doing the most random stuff, from wushu to going in a turtle, how to make it come alive, being buried in cork and how to come out of it. And I was in a turtle suit. So I would breathe out a snorkel mat at the very beginning. And I'm not gonna lie, it was one of the hardest things to do, to be in a turtle suit and to be buried, to figure out how to make the turtle come alive. That was part of the audition. They tested my athleticism on a lot of things and I passed that, thank goodness. And they test out my acting skills, like did some clowning, improv. Next thing you know, that end of that day, 8 hours, I'm just drenched. I'm tired, man. And they're like, okay, you got it. You got 2 weeks to come and work. And I was like, 2 weeks. So I flew home the same day. I'm just cramping up I'm happy, but I'm cramping up because I'm so wrecked from the audition. And everyone's like laughing. I'm all, nowhere. I got a job. Oh my God. You know, but just cramping up.
Cramping out on the plane or something?
Yes, I was. And I was just like, oh, you know, you had to straighten your legs. And seriously, dude, and it sucks. I was in the middle seat, man. So I'm just like, all of a sudden, but I'm happy. So I'm like, yeah, I got a job. And everyone, both sides were just like, what's going on? And I had to like basically explain to them that I went through an 8 hour, basically almost 8 hour audition, and I got the job, and I didn't drink enough fluids and I'm cramping up right now. It was 45-minute flight, but I was in pain, but I was happy at the same time. It was really hard to explain. So I got 2 weeks to move. I had a Jeep that was not going to make it to Las Vegas. So I bought a truck, packed all my stuff, and then I moved to Las Vegas. My 2-year experiment for Vegas. I was going to last 2 years.
What year was that?
I started in 2004. And in my head, I was like, oh, I'll do Cirque a couple times and move back to California. And I fell in love with the people of Cirque because they were kind of like me. There was no like, you're weird, man. What the hell? You know, they're just like, oh, you're artistic. Great. Keep going.
Welcome to the club.
Come on in. Join the fun. So I was like, nice. So I just dove in, man. I was like, this is great. So that's how I got into Cirque, and I fell in love with the whole place. And granted, talk about humility. Ka is one of the most humbling things that's ever happened to me in my life. There was another step of growth that I had to do, and Ka was part of that growth. They had just came from Montreal to Las Vegas, so a lot of stuff was very experimental, trying to figure things out. You know how it goes. When I came in actually in November, and the show came on, and so I was only doing the turtle. That was it, because I was so late to the game. That was humbling to watch people do shows, and you're just sitting there like, I want to do something. That took a while to get acclimated, and then once I started doing the turtle and getting all the other aspects of the show down, I was also understudying one of the clowns at the time. There's 3. There was a tall one, so I didn't get the chance to do it because they took it out before I even got to go in. But the cool thing is I got to do a lot of the acting stuff. There's like a lot of little different things where I got to do show off. At least I can practice my acting. Like I got to do the plant in the audience. I got to do posts and beams as well as the spearman in the beginning of the show, running around with spears and scaring people. That was a lot of fun. So it was a whole new dynamic from doing musical theater to like doing wushu and fighting with spears. And next thing you know, I'm learning how to run on pillars. I was surrounded by great people, a great group of guys that kind of took me under the wing and just kind of schooled me in a lot of what parkour was. And I was never to their level, but they got me to the point where I can go on stage and handle my own and run on that stuff. And just to do that much, just to be able to run across stage on those pillars and jump on the sides and all that cool things. I was humbled in that way too, because this is not my number one thing that I do all the time, but they actually helped me and brought me up to a respectable level where I can do a lot of different things on stage.
That act was a tough act. When I saw the co-creation in Montreal at the headquarters, the first time I saw those guys, the speed, the jumps, but those pillars were also, they had like some padding on the side, but they can still be unforgiving.
Yeah, there was a whole technique on jumping on them. And when I first started learning, they were showing a technique how to land on top of a pillar, not going at it, but doing a rainbow effect to land kind of on the side where you can take a lot of the impact. But there's times when I was first learning, I wasn't doing that. I was going straight to the pillar. So I was just crushing myself. I learned a lot of courage because of the group of guys that I was working with. I'm always thankful for them and giving me courage and the ability that I can do something that I felt like I was afraid to do in the beginning. Don't get me wrong, I was always fearful of what I was doing, but it just gave me that extra to overcome fear. I didn't think I was going to do high falls. I didn't think I was going to do some parkour moves. I didn't think I was going to fight wushu, but I had such great teachers and thank goodness some athletic ability. They kept working with me even when they didn't have to, when rehearsals were done. Between acts, I learned how to jump on a trampoline. The amazing things that I learned from the great group of guys that I worked with at college. I'm always indebted to them, and they know who they are. There's a big group and it was all different colors, shapes, sizes. And it was, to me, that's how I feel the world should be. It's hard to be around all those talented people. And you're like, I felt I couldn't really show what my worth was, but they gave me the confidence and made me feel like I belong in the show because they did keep working me and they brought me to a level that had no idea that I can get to.
Was there a difference of the level of responsibility you felt when you were doing Goofy at Disney because you were in a costume, you're in a mask, nobody can actually see your real face?
In Disney, there'd be one day I'd be in a costume, and another time I wouldn't. That's another reason it was good training because I was doing sometimes multiple shows within the week. I was doing a show called Goofy's Beach Party Bash, I think. My character was Sandy Shores and my name was Cliffhanger, so I had to be like, hey dude, yeah bro, and whoa Goofy, what's going on?
Dad, this can't be the end of the day. It's been totally tubular.
Gave me a chance to platform and also helped me to be able to act towards another Goofy because I've been in the costume. So I had to do back and forth a few times throughout the years, and I started doing more just face character work, not even at Disney anymore, just going, I started auditioning for doing character work. So it actually, that helped. It's one of the few things I feel confident in, like at an audition. Doesn't matter with a face or it could be my face, it could be big head. I've done many different things and different characters through my whole career. I was a good dancer, but I felt like I had to do more things than just dance to work in California. And because of that, of going back and forth, that's what basically got me my job at CAW, because I had to put on a costume and then I had to take it off and do different characters and improv for them. So I think that's what helped me to get that job that day, was they saw the confidence that I can do the job that they want me to do. It's another, I can't say I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky because I was just hanging out looking at what other people doing on stage, and you just kind of waiting for when I go on. I think I had to go on the finale, and Pierre Perjean, right? And he says, Jimmy, come here. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're going to audition for the Beatles' Love.
So it wasn't even, would you like to audition? It's like,
that's what I felt like, what I heard. So all of a sudden I had this anxiety, like, oh crap, I got to dance again. It's been 3 or 4 years since I danced. So I thought I was going in as a dancer. So when I had auditioned, like maybe, I think 5 days afterwards, it was really, cause I can't remember, but it was on audition. It was with Katina. It was just one-on-one by myself. Again, you're a character in Dr. Robert, you're holding a teapot, show us how you pour, and I was like, oh, this is all character work, I think. So I started doing that, really liked, and I was like, hey, and that was the audition, but I was like, I can dance. I can dance a little bit. But the funny thing is, before that, I went and started learning some of the choreography in the Beatles' Love Show to see what the style was. So I had that in the back of my head. They didn't know I was that type of a trained dancer. So that was a plus. The whole thing was I didn't want to dance all the time. I was trying to show moments of pedestrian, and dance, showing that I'm capable. But Dr. Robert says I dance when I want to dance, kind of deal. Once they found out I can dance a little bit, I started getting put in more numbers. I was in 3 numbers when I first started in Love. One of them was in The Benefit of Mr. Kite and Strawberry Fields. At the time, Walrus. I wasn't doing a lot of dancing or anything on them. I was going step to step, where to go. Then I started moving and they started noticing the type of dancing I was doing. So I started filling spots that were not necessarily filled at the time because the show was relatively new still. So some of the spots that needed filling, I went and filled those spots. So that's what started adding to more numbers that I was doing.
Initially, the character of Dr. Robert was shown in a bit of a different way.
Yes.
Did that have an influence on you, or did you go there more with a mindset of, well, let me try to bring what I am feeling with Dr. Robert?
When I found out I got Dr. Robert, I was like, okay, this is not a dance role. This is a character role. So I got to do some really hardcore research, find out who the real Dr. Robert was and how he pertained to the Beatles. Everyone kind of knows the story, but to really delve into that story, there was one main Dr. Robert, but then all the speed doctors in New York became Dr. Robert. That was like a pseudonym, like their code words. And that's what I've read. Allegedly. And once I found out about the story of Dr. Robert, that he had a penthouse in New York and he invited all, the high elites of the elites of New York, from movie stars to it was during the time of Andy Warhol and Edie Sedgwick. So they would have these extravagant parties. So the Beatles heard about this guy and they're like, okay, we want to know what's the deal? What's going on with this guy? So he invited them up to the penthouse and allegedly spiked all their tea with LSD. That was allegedly their first time experiencing what expansion was, what colors were. There's many dimensions when you start taking LSD and you start seeing music a different way. So from what I read, they kind of switched their mentality from, I guess, from the mop tops that you would see to their whole genre of music kind of changed. If you go on to Revolver, Rubber Soul, those are the ones that I think Dr. Robert had a huge influence on their music. Everyone says there's multiple different Beatles music, and Dr. Roberts happens to be in that pivotal moment of Revolver and Rubber Soul, which people always argue which one's the best a lot of the times. If you go on to hear their music, you're like, yeah, they're definitely seeing different things what you would see not on LSD. I think it helped them immensely with their insight of what music, that you actually can see music. Allegedly. That was just a big learning Dr. Robert part of it. A lot of my favorite characters all time are like the Mad Hatter, Hunter S. Thompson. Those are great characters to mix with myself as a character, as a weirdo, and try to make that into one person that could dance. Although if those guys can dance and be a character, that's what I would try to mold myself as. I would sit in the dark and try to I didn't want to see what I was actually doing, but I wanted to feel what I was doing, opposed to all of a sudden I could dance. That was one of the harder things for me to do, was to pull back the dancing, push forward the character.
The way that you do it, it's so smooth. It's like, oh, okay, he's dancing with everyone, and all of a sudden, but you still stand out. Everyone's costume is different.
And your interactions with them are as a character, and they're as a character back to you. So that's why to do the show on the round, that's why I love doing the show. That's why I stayed in for as long as I did, because of the interactions with people on stage, in the audience, with dancers, with characters, with acrobats. I'm dealing with everyone on stage, and I love it. To the ushers, to the audience members, and to almost everyone on stage, I have some kind of interaction that I can work in with. There's nowhere else I can feel that synergy, where I'm actually dancing with two dancers all of a sudden stop, then I'm working with an acrobat, interacting with an acrobat, interacting with a talkie character. It just keeps me going forward, even when I'm dead tired. It's the 10th show of the week, but that last show is probably one of my best shows of the week. With the adrenaline of you having 2 days off, knowing that you accomplished something during the week, you made a difference to people watching. I know it sounds cornball, but I mean, that's a lot of the reasons why I do it. We all have a little bit of narcissistic things that we deal with, but the way we show off that it actually becomes a positive way is doing it in the show. I've met so many people through Dr. Robert just by wandering up and down in the audience. I still keep in contact to some people that see me many years ago that come see the show and wait for me backstage and say, how you doing, man? I saw you. This is my 3rd time seeing you. I just want to say you're still doing a good job. And that's one of the most gratifying things you can hear. You deal with little kids, right? That come see the show. You have a picture and they come back 10 years later as an adult, and then you have another picture and they remember you and you're like, oh, you came and poured smoke on my head from the teapot. There's people told me off the street, hey, you poured smoke in my husband's hair or something to that effect. And that's before even going on stage. So I'm already getting the endorphins going of happiness. By the time I get on stage again, I don't know, I'm tired until after the act.
With live entertainment, it's you can just simply go out and do your thing and you can perform and check out. And yes, we know a lot of people on stage do that, but also a lot of people, they really live it. They go out there and they really go on that trip and they want to take the audience with them. I don't know you, you don't know me, but we still have that connection based on the fact that we were part of this one journey. It's not just the four guys who are still there at the top. It's only there because of the music, but it's more to that. Like, you're adding to the legend of the Beatles. And when you're talking about the albums, Revolver, Rubber Soul, like, you get to continue carrying that torch. That's the beauty about it. This is like one of my most favorite photos.
Oh my gosh, I want that.
Oh yeah, I'll send it to you.
Everyone thinks I should have explained the story differently when giving out the tea. It's not like he just like gave them tea and let them go. He was there to help them. He was actually there to expand their mind and help them see what they were missing. He wasn't just there to party and have a good time either. He felt that expanded everyone's mind, that you see into another universe within your third eye, basically, that kind of expands out to what you see in music and what you see in colors and how they all mesh in together. And that's when you saw all the cool colors that the Beatles were getting into with their visual stuff to go along with their music. And that has a lot to do with Dr. Robert. And he was basically the master of ceremonies. And I try to embody that, but he was always the most gracious and most nice person at the same time. He's the bringer of happiness. Oh,
do you have that picture?
I don't have that picture.
Okay, I gotta send you a bunch of these.
That's so funny. Because I'm so weird about that kind of stuff. I don't really take a whole lot of pictures of myself or anything. A lot of it's from awesomely by other people sending them to me. And I'm just like, this makes me mad that I should have been doing this a long time ago.
That's what I was there for during my rotation days. What's going on through your brain right there?
Well, obviously, I'm thinking I've taken some tea. I got to write it out.
This is after the moment when Mr. Piggy goes, tea drinking.
Yes. You have that guy that gives everyone else the drink or, whatever. And then you're like, is everyone done? Okay, my turn. That's the my turn part.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Oh, yes.
This picture is my desktop screensaver. I mean, this is what the beauty of the show is. It is truly a trip.
Yeah, is that the back of my head, or am I looking at you? Or
you're standing right over the audience, and I think I was in the sound booth, kind of like, like doing like a low angle because you're standing there making eye contact. In the background, the colors on the bed sheet.
That's something I would like to have as like a painting or a life-size photo of something, because it's me, but it's not me showing my face. I won't be like embarrassed if it was up on top on a wall.
Did I ever send you this picture? I sent it to you, right?
I have it as my it's my screensaver for or that little dot you have on Instagram that's up there and it says who you are. Keep the mystery going, I mean, that's my favorite part about the album, the whole mystery. You're like, whoa, if you don't know it's me, you're like, what the hell? Who's that guy? That's crazy. The shadow within the rainbow, basically.
Just a quick question. What happened here? Why are we seeing mustache?
I've been in the show a long time, right?
Listen, it's live entertainment, 400-something shows a year that we have to do. And once in a while, we need to repair our bodies.
I thought the mustache was awesome. Because I was hurt, I got to grow out my beard. The powers that be were so cool to let me try it and like experiment, just to do something different. I had a mustache for about over a month, right? It was about that time.
Yeah.
For me, it was one of these things where it almost changed how I acted my character just because I had a mustache. So that was a new experience for me to be like, oh, Wario, like all different types of I could be all different kind of characters. After the first show, I lost the curl, just like Dali style, would just go straight out. And I used to have to put mascara in it to darken it up. To me, that's character work where you can just like, okay, this is cool. What happens between A to B? What do you do before you have to do something that you're choreographed to do? That was another cool thing to have an extra pop to have to play, where it just gave me another different, more vocabulary as far as movement goes. Just something simple like that made me excited. I got something to do, something different. It's nice. Opposed to just like, I'm sweaty. They said, let's try it. They gave me a month of it. And they knew that I was going to get sick of it. Because as you know, I'm a sweater. Try having a sponge on your lip. See how that feels. Before you even get sweat. And imagine putting a sponge on your lip and then all of a sudden adding water to it. and just how it expands. So I had such a poofy mustache that it was like already into my nose. It was driving me crazy. They knew that I was gonna get sick of it and get tired of it, and with the sweat, and I ended up kind of just doing different shapes with it, and I finally shaved it. But I was just happy to have the opportunity to do something different. And that month was like a whole new show. I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back. I felt good. That's cool. I got to do something different. We have to have a drink one next time.
So I actually did prepare something, but this was like a simple rum and coke.
Okay. All right.
Oh yes, here we go.
We could do a proper. So it's diluted even more.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers,
Miss
brother.
you, man.
Miss you too. Can't wait to go on stage with you again.
Likewise.
Jim Dog, hurry up, man. I was just kidding.
By the way, how long does it take you to put your makeup on? I forgot to ask
I mean, the very beginning, it was like an hour and 20 minutes. And now I got it down to nice and how I like it, about 50 minutes, almost an hour. I have to cover my eyebrows. That's the thing that makes, with this epoxy that covers them. And then I put makeup on top to cover that. I have to get my eyebrows done because if not, it looks like I have like a Frankenstein brow if I cover it. It's like just sticks out. They're so thick. So now I trim them and I cover them up. I put like 4 different colors of beige on.
4 different colors of beige.
Yes. The beige panther, dude. See, beige panther.
By the way, Natalie Gagne, and I don't know if she's listening to this or she knows about this, but I would love to do this kind of a conversation with her just to pick her brain, because that lady and the team that she works with, of course, but just like technique and artistry and creativity. And
I learned how to shade because of her. Try to, not those harsh lines, how to, blend. It's unbelievable that I can actually do makeup. One of the funniest things is like, hey, Dad, I can't talk. I'm doing makeup right now.
What are you doing? We have to learn how to do makeup. We have to learn how to.
For me, that was one of the most anxiety-ridden, the beginning of learning makeup. I'm not gonna lie, it took me like a year to finally get stuff right, to do it right. Oh, I don't have to push down on my face to get the so hard to push down on that brush, and how to use technique, and to, this is a light brush, or how to, like I said, blending. And I learned so much of how the layers and layers of makeup, which you do too. And then when you see it on stage, you're like, wow, that's amazing. Sometimes when you have a good makeup day and you take a picture, you're like, oh, my makeup was good that day.
Which shows would be your best as the week goes? You fluctuate.
I don't know if you're this way too, but that last show, the energy is ridiculous. Even though you're tired, there's something about and feeling the adrenaline from everybody, from all performers, because they're so excited. I always tell people to come watch us on the last show of the week. And I don't know, I try to be normal. I try to do my same show over and over. But for some reason, on the adrenaline and feeling that synergy from everyone, I'm like in the pocket as far as character work and dancing, and just feels like everything's smooth. It's almost instinctual how you do your movement to that character. For instance, sometimes I'm at home and I'm like grabbing this way, boom, boom. And I'm like, whoa, cut it out. Just be normal. Just drink it normal. Maybe the same for you, but as soon as you put that, like when we go back to work and as soon as you put on everything, all of a sudden you're doing things that you're not trying in your head to do. Even backstage, I'm goofing around. I'm doing the stuff that I feel Dr. Robert would do backstage anyways. Even before I hit that go out of stage, I get nervous. I get 2 stages before the curtain. I'm nervous. I'm Dr. Robert. I'm nervous every day before I even do a show. Before I go out to do pre-show, I have this weird anxiety that comes through. The only thing that gets me through is I know as soon as I step through that curtain, it's going to disappear. You're just like, fuck, okay, here we go, Dr. Robert. There was no anxiety. I didn't feel any anxiety. What was that about? And it's such a weird feeling. It doesn't matter how. I always said sometimes I take a deep breath. Here we go. All of a sudden, Dr. Robert just comes right through as soon as I step through that curtain. So being backstage and running around, having that, like, it's cool to see they're themselves, but backstage, but you also see a little bit of the character still portraying. Because it is in the round, you have to make yourself bigger than what you think you are sometimes. Because in character, you can't just be like this. You have to make things so big to make it look like that. Like, I have to go like this to make it look like this in a lot of characters. You have to be bigger than life. Sometimes you're by yourself in the center, in a whole center stage. So it taught me how to make myself look bigger and to take more basically real estate around the stage by the presence. A lot of people come up to me and say, man, I thought you're way taller than you are. People think I'm like 6'6", and I come in, I'm like, I'm 6 foot, 5'11", you know, and like, whoa, you know, some guys, I thought you're way taller. It's because of the costume and trying to, and making yourself, having the presence of mind and learning from the right people how to fill the stage through presence and through posture and through energy.
Is there like any one specific character or
Talk about training. Imagine sitting next to a mentor that's done so many crazy for like 10 years, right? Oh, I said S word, sorry. How lucky was I to come in my first day in to sit next to a you know, to me, a legend, Eugen Brim, for 10 years, almost 10 years. I picked his brain, I picked everything, you know, he was like the more than the cherry on top. He was like the whipped cream, everything to kind of to pick his brain and help him, you know, communicate to me how to make my character better. That made my transition so much easier because I was sitting next to someone that was, you know, well astute in movement and mime and everything that to do with circus, you know, as a character. That guy, he's taught me about just life in general. He made his own theater. He's a family man. He's taught me a lot of good things about life, and he's been through a lot. Anything, if I ever had a bad time thinking that I've been through some serious things in my life, he's gone through some serious stuff in his life, and I've learned from what he says. Don't make the same mistakes I did, and he was still successful. I just want to stress how much influence he had in my character career, my circus character career. And crazy, man, how can you not learn from that guy? Just like now, just from me watching and look at his hand placements. I think it was like serendipitous for me to sit next to him. He had a lot of good things to help me get through some of the stuff. And like sometimes I'd be frustrated. Say, hey, just, you know, keep it simple. Do it this way or do it that way. Or you don't have to be dancing all over the place. You know, he helped me even be pulled more back. He pushed the character forward and the movement would follow.
You have failed me for the last time.
It's being positive, right? That's what it's about. I'm using the situation of negativity that we're in, but I'm finding positive things that I've done with my life because of it. I discovered local talent that's here in Las Vegas, songwriters, actors, and poets. I've seen so many good local art that just need a platform. So I found a calling for me, which I didn't think I would be able to do working, is trying to pub up the art district, find a place where artists can go and hang out and have a cheap drink and maybe see a show. I knew I loved art, but I didn't know I loved art this much. And what's helped me with this lifeline is I'm trying to help the community, the art community. And I'm still working on it. There's a lot more stuff I can do and a lot of stuff I'm going to do. But this is my positive silver lining for me. My neon sign is going to say, helping the art community. So that's my neon sign. You know, times are tough, but I'm trying different ways that I can do it. I'm doing the podcast, hopefully big, and we'll grow into a show in the beginning of the year. And hopefully that will have all positive vibes for other artists that need to be, just to see positive. I'm saying positive like 80, 100 times because we need to keep saying it because everything's been so weird. And I'm just trying to be as positive as possible. And I think this art thing and my partner are helping me with that. I'm helping them.
I think that we should be glad that we're part of that culture. It's on a whole, on bigger scale, but there's still things happening here and there. And what you're doing there with supporting those artists, it's going to come back to bigger scale. It's going to be somewhat modified. But you know what? That's the beauty of art is we have to adapt, we have to modify, just like we do with characters. Mm-hmm. You know, with each year, you modify certain things here and there. But the notion of art should not die, and the notion of live entertainment should be kept intact. There is that notion of experience that you can't really get from watching it on the screen. You have to be part of it.
Theater's primal, man. Up close, personal. You see sweat. You see a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like people like to see that kind of stuff. People doing hard work in front of them and getting it done. So that's why I'm down with. You know, what does your neon say? Vegas neon sign says. If you had to put one up.
I don't know. I have to think about that. But at this moment, what I'm thinking right now, for me, it's about curating your stories to me, and I'm interested in that.
Oh, thank you, Taras, and I'm glad you're doing this because people, I like that. I can't wait to hear other artists talk and see what their journey is about during this whole madness, from the beginning of their journey to what we see, what's happening now. I just want to thank you. I can't wait to see it. You do a good job as always. You're one of my favorite people, so I can't wait to actually hang out and actually have a brew together, or even zoom it out and we'll have one of these just to say what's up. Hammer.
Cheers, Jimmie.
Cheers.
On that note, until next time, Jimmie.
All right, brother. Take care.
You too. Thank you for watching Live Entertainment Talk with Jimmie Cervera. Did you enjoy it? Please let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for keeping up to date with our latest content. Stay safe, be healthy, and let's keep the culture of live entertainment alive.